Today I'm not feeling too good. So I made myself some really nice meatball soup, and I just think this is gonna make me feel so much better.
I made the simplest meatballs that I know how to make. A pound of ground beef, a teaspoon each of salt and pepper, a bunch of Italian seasoning, a good sprinkling of garlic powder, and an egg. And then I just mixed it together with my hands. I divided it into 20 little piles so that I knew my portion was 5 meatballs. And then I just rolled them into meatballs. And then just some really simple aromatics for the soup base. Some chopped garlic and half of an onion, which I diced. A few little sliced carrots, which I'll add to the bowl with the onions and garlic, and some diced celery, a great base for any good soup. I chopped up a pretty good sized bunch of kale. I love the way the kale cooks in the soup and just soaks up all the flavor. And at the stove, I'll start with a teaspoon of olive oil and just add in those aromatics with a little salt and pepper and more Italian seasoning. Then I covered it so that they softened a little bit. And after a couple of minutes, I added a can of crushed tomatoes, a whole box of beef bone broth for good protein, and I rinsed out that can of tomatoes with some water for extra broth. Then I put the lid back on so it came to a rolling boil, because you want it to be at a boil when you drop your meatballs in. And then you just drop them in gently, and don't worry, they're all gonna fit. You can give them a little nudge to make sure they're not stuck to anything, but don't stir them, they're not cooked. Put the lid back on, and after a few minutes, this is what they look like. And now it's time to add a half a cup of orzo. Any good soup when you're feeling sick has to have pasta in it. And all of that kale, which is gonna be so good cooked down in there. And then I just let that simmer with the lid back on, and I just cooked it until the pasta was cooked. Then I tasted it for seasoning and added a little salt and pepper, and it was all done.
It looks so good. And 5 meatballs is a pretty good portion. Let me taste the broth. Oh, it's good. The meatballs are nice and tender. Wow. I'm sure whatever I have is gonna pass pretty quickly. I'm not dying. The weather changes and we don't always feel our best sometimes when that happens. Lean into soup season.